The quantum calibrator sparked under Maya Chen's fingers, sending a shower of blue-white light across the cluttered workbench. She didn't flinch. After 15 years of repairing everything from hoverbikes to orbital shuttles in her grandmother's old shop, unexpected reactions were just part of the job. The holographic display above the calibrator flickered, then stabilized, showing readings that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. Maya wiped the sweat from her forehead, leaving a streak of grease that matched the countless others on her well-worn coveralls. The Shanghai summer heat was particularly brutal today, seeping through the shop's ancient ventilation system. But she couldn't stop now. She was close to something. A breakthrough in quantum mechanics that nobody in the mainstream scientific community would believe possible. The wall-mounted screens suddenly flickered to life, interrupting her work. Maya looked up, annoyed at first, then frozen in shock as she saw the same image appearing on every screen. A being of crystalline appearance, its form shifting like liquid mercury, yet somehow maintaining a humanoid shape. People of Earth, the being spoke, its voice resonating in perfect Mandarin. Then English, then every other human language simultaneously. I am Ambassador Xeris of the Galactic Alliance. Your world stands at a crossroads. Maya's quantum calibrator forgotten. She stood transfixed as the ambassador continued. For millennia, we have observed your species' development. You have shown remarkable persistence, creativity, and resilience. However, your technological advancement remains primitive by galactic standards. The word primitive made Maya's jaw clench. She'd heard similar dismissals from enough earthbound critics of her work. The Alliance has decided to offer humanity a chance to prove its worth through participation in the Light Years trial, the most challenging and prestigious competition in known space. Success would grant Earth immediate membership in the Galactic Alliance, along with access to technologies that would solve your energy crisis, environmental challenges, and resource limitations. Images flashed across the screens. Ships of impossible configurations racing through star-studded corridors of pure energy, navigating asteroid fields that seemed to defy physics, and diving through the hearts of quantum storms that made Maya's calibrator look like a child's toy. However, Xeris continued, failure in the trial would result in Earth's isolation from galactic society for the next 1,000 years. We cannot risk primitive technologies disrupting the delicate balance of our civilization. Maya's hands tightened into fists. There it was again, primitive. She looked down at her quantum calibrator, at the innovations she'd developed that the scientific establishment had called impossible. They'd said she was wasting her time working out of a repair shop instead of a proper laboratory. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly why she was seeing things differently. You have 6 months to prepare, Xeris announced. 1 ship, 1 crew, chosen by your world's leaders. The ship must be built using only Earth technology. No external assistance permitted. Choose wisely. The trial begins at the next solar alignment. The screens return to normal, leaving the world forever changed. Outside, Maya could hear the chaos erupting in the streets of Shanghai. Shouts, cars honking, the overwhelming sound of humanity trying to process that they weren't alone in the universe, and they had just been challenged to prove their worth. Maya's phone began buzzing with notifications, news alerts, messages from friends, social media exploding with reactions, but she ignored them all, turning back to her quantum calibrator. Her hands were steady now, her mind racing with possibilities that she'd been exploring for years. Possibilities that everyone had told her were ridiculous. The scientific community would be scrambling now, trying to copy the glimpses of alien technology they'd seen in the transmission. Major space agencies would be fighting over budgets and resources, trying to build something that could compete with ships that had thousands of years of development behind them. But Maya saw a different path. She pulled up the research files she'd been collecting for the past decade. Theories about combining quantum mechanics with classical physics in ways that the scientific establishment had deemed unnecessarily complicated. They preferred the elegant solutions, the pure quantum approaches that mimicked what little they knew of alien technology. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. Sometimes the most powerful solutions come from combining the old with the new. Never forget where you came from, but never stop reaching for where you could go. Maya began typing, sending messages to 3 people whose careers, like hers, had been dismissed by the establishment. A theoretical physicist who'd been laughed out of academia for her impossible ideas about space-time manipulation. A disgraced astronaut who'd been grounded for attempting maneuvers that NASA deemed recklessly innovative. An AI specialist who'd been fired for giving his creations too much autonomy. Within an hour, all 3 had responded. They'd seen the announcement. They knew what it meant, and they were ready to try something crazy. Maya looked around her shop, at the tools that had been passed down through 3 generations, at the modern equipment she'd modified in ways their manufacturers never intended, at the quantum calibrator that represented the bridge between Earth's primitive technology and something entirely new. Outside her window, she could see the skyscrapers of Shanghai lighting up as night fell, their peaks disappearing into low-hanging clouds. Somewhere up there, beyond those clouds, beyond Earth's atmosphere, the greatest race in history was waiting. And maybe, just maybe, humanity's primitive understanding of mechanical engineering combined with quantum physics could do something that billions of years of pure quantum technology hadn't considered. Maya sent one final message to her new team. Meet me tomorrow. Bring your impossible ideas. We got 6 months to redefine what's possible. She looked at her grandmother's old wrench hanging on the wall, then at the quantum calibrator glowing on her workbench. The galaxy thought humanity was primitive. Fine. She'd show them what primitive could do. The morning after the alien transmission, Maya's repair shop looked more like a war room. Holographic displays showed news feeds from around the world as humanity grappled with their new reality. Major space agencies had already announced their competing proposals for Earth's entry in the light years trial. None of them mentioned the possibility of a quantum mechanic working out of a Shanghai repair shop. Dr. Sarah O'Neill arrived first, her wild red hair matching her reputation for explosive ideas. She carried nothing but a tablet filled with equations that most physicists claimed were impossible. Your message said you had a quantum calibrator that actually worked, she said, skipping any introduction. Show me. Before Maya could respond, Marcus Rivera walked in. The former NASA astronaut moved with the fluid grace of someone used to zero gravity, even though he hadn't been allowed near a spacecraft in 3 years. Not since he'd attempted a rescue maneuver that succeeded brilliantly while breaking every safety protocol NASA had. Nice setup, Marcus said, looking around the shop. Reminds me of my grandfather's garage where I built my first rocket. Got grounded for a month after it took out the neighbor's fence. He grinned. Worth it. The last to arrive was Kai Patel, looking severely sleep-deprived. The AI specialist had been up all night, his neural networks processing the alien transmission for any hidden information. Their quantum drives are impressive, he said, settling into a corner with his portable quantum processor. But they're predictable, like they haven't tried anything new in centuries. Maya powered up her quantum calibrator, its blue glow illuminating the faces of her unlikely team. That's exactly why I called you all here. Look at these readings. The holographic display showed energy patterns that seemed to dance between quantum states. Sarah's eyes widened. You're maintaining quantum coherence at room temperature. That's impossible. Maya finished. That's why I wanted you here. Your theories about macro-scale quantum effects. They work, but only if you stop trying to make them perfect. She pulled up another display, showing the inner workings of her calibrator. See these imperfections in the field. Traditional quantum physics says they should collapse the whole system. But what if those imperfections are actually the key? Marcus leaned in, his pilot's eyes catching something in the pattern. It's like atmospheric turbulence. Everyone tries to avoid it, but sometimes riding the turbulence gets you where you need to go faster than fighting it. Exactly. Maya brought up the images from the alien transmission, showing their quantum drives. Look at their ships. Perfect quantum fields, perfectly controlled. But what if that's their weakness? Kai's fingers flew across his keyboard, his AI systems modeling the possibilities. They're optimizing for perfection, he said. But in complex systems, sometimes imperfection is more adaptive. My AIs learned that the hard way. Sarah was already scribbling new equations, her earlier skepticism replaced with growing excitement. If we combine this with my theories about quantum mechanical interfaces, Maya, we could build something entirely new. Not just a ship that copies their technology, but one that does what they think is impossible. That's why you're all here, Maya said. The world's greatest space agencies are going to try to build perfect quantum drives. They'll fail because they don't have thousands of years of experience. But we're not going to try to be perfect. She walked to a large covered object in the corner of her shop and pulled off the tarp. Underneath was a half-assembled engine, unlike anything her team had ever seen. Part classical mechanics, part quantum system. It looked like something from both the past and the future. I call it the hybrid drive, Maya explained. It uses quantum fields, yes, but it also uses good old-fashioned mechanical engineering. The quantum field doesn't have to be perfect because the mechanical systems compensate for the imperfections. Actually, they do more than compensate. They use those imperfections to generate more power. Marcus circled the engine, his experienced eyes noting every detail. The space agencies would never approve this design. It breaks about 50 different safety protocols. More like 73, Kai said, his AI already having analyzed the design. But it could work. My simulations show it's actually more stable than pure quantum drives in extreme conditions. Sarah had stopped writing equations and was staring at the engine with an expression of wonder. It's brilliant. The quantum field and mechanical systems create a feedback loop that actually gets stronger under stress. The worse conditions get, the better it works. Exactly like humanity, Maya said softly. We've never had perfect conditions. We've never had thousands of years to perfect anything. But we've learned to adapt, to turn our limitations into advantages. The team spent the next hour examining the engine, each contributing their unique perspective. Marcus identified ways to make the controls more intuitive for human pilots. Sarah refined the quantum equations to work better with the mechanical systems. Kai began designing an AI system that could help manage the complex interactions between classical and quantum physics. Their work was interrupted by a news alert. The Chinese Space Agency had just announced their official entry into the light years trial. They would be building a pure quantum drive based on their analysis of alien technology. They're making a mistake, Marcus said, watching the announcement. They're trying to copy something they don't fully understand. Let them, Maya replied. While they're trying to be perfect, we'll be building something better. Something new. She looked at her team. The grounded pilot who flew by instinct, the physicist who saw beauty in imperfection, the AI specialist who gave his creations room to grow, and herself, the quantum mechanic who never forgot her roots in classical engineering. We have 5 months and 29 days, she said. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can really do. As if in response, the hybrid drive's quantum field pulsed, its blue light mixing with the golden glow of old-fashioned copper coils. Perfect and imperfect, old and new, Earth and stars, all coming together in ways the galaxy had never seen before. 3 months into the project, Maya's repair shop had transformed into something between a quantum laboratory and a mechanic's garage. The hybrid drive hung suspended in a web of diagnostic equipment, its unique combination of classical and quantum technology pulsing with an otherworldly light. The air smelled of ozone and machine oil, a mixture that would have horrified traditional quantum physicists. We've got company, Kai announced from his workstation, where multiple screens showed security feeds. A sleek government car had pulled up outside, followed by another vehicle that seemed to bend light around itself, clearly of alien origin. Maya straightened up from where she'd been adjusting a mechanical linkage in the drive system. Her hands were stained with grease, but there was no time to clean up. The shop's door chimed as two figures entered. Director Chen from the Chinese Space Agency, no relation to Maya, as she'd explained countless times, and a tall, crystalline being that could only be an Alliance observer. "Ms. Chen," the director began, his tone precisely calibrated between politeness and condescension. "We've been monitoring your power usage. The energy signatures coming from this facility are concerning." The Alliance observer moved forward, its crystalline form shifting colors as it studied the hybrid drive. "This design does not match approved quantum engineering principles," it stated. "Your attempt to combine primitive mechanical systems with quantum technology is likely to result in catastrophic failure." Sarah stepped forward, her red hair practically crackling with indignation. "With all due respect, that's exactly what they said about Maya's quantum calibrator. The same calibrator that's now keeping your ship's quantum core stable while you're parked outside." The alien's form flickered, surprised perhaps. It turned to look out the window at its ship, then back at the team. "Impossible. Our quantum cores are self-stabilizing. Not in Earth's specific quantum field density. They're not," Maya explained, unable to keep a slight smile from her face. "Your perfect quantum systems actually create interference patterns in our local spacetime. But a hybrid system, one that uses mechanical dampers to handle the quantum fluctuations." She gestured to her calibrator, still steadily pulsing. Marcus joined them, his pilot's swagger unmistakable. "We're not trying to copy your technology. We're building something new, something that works with Earth's conditions instead of fighting against them." The director frowned. "The Alliance has thousands of years of experience with quantum technology. You really believe you can improve upon their designs?" "No," Maya said, surprising everyone. "We don't think we can build better quantum technology. We think we can build something different." She walked to a workbench and picked up what looked like an ordinary wrench, but with subtle modifications. "This was my grandmother's. She used it to fix combustion engines, then electric motors, then the first hover vehicles. Each time technology changed, she didn't throw away her tools, she adapted them." Kay's screen suddenly lit up with new data. "Maya, the quantum field simulation just completed. You're going to want to see this." The team gathered around his displays, followed by their skeptical visitors. The simulation showed two ships navigating a quantum storm, one using pure quantum technology, the other using their hybrid system. The pure quantum ship maintained perfect stability until a critical point, then failed catastrophically. The hybrid ship looked less stable throughout, its quantum field fluctuating wildly, but it survived. "That's impossible," the Alliance observer stated, its crystalline form rigid with what might have been shock. "The quantum fluctuations should tear the ship apart." "In a pure quantum system, yes," Sarah explained, quickly sketching equations in the air with her holographic stylus. "But our mechanical systems don't fight the fluctuations, they ride them, like a surfer riding ocean waves. The rougher it gets, the better our system performs." The director was staring at the simulation data, his expression unreadable. "You realize no one will approve this design. It breaks too many established principles." "Good thing we're not asking for approval," Maya replied. She touched a control panel, and the hybrid drive's quantum field expanded, forming complex patterns that shouldn't have been possible according to conventional theory. "We're going to win this race not by being better at quantum technology, but by remembering what made humanity survive all these years, our ability to adapt, to combine old and new in ways no one else has tried." The Alliance observer's form shifted through several colors before settling on a deep blue. "Your species continues to be unpredictable. This may be either your greatest strength or your ultimate failure." After their visitors left, the team gathered around the hybrid drive. They had 2 months left until the race, and while they'd proven their concept worked, they still had to build it into a complete ship. "They're scared," Marcus said, grinning. "Not of us failing, but of us succeeding. Of proving that their perfect way isn't the only way." Then let's give them something really worth worrying about, Maya replied. She pulled up the ship's main design schematic. Kai, how's the AI integration coming? Better than expected. Because our system isn't trying to be perfect, the AI has more freedom to adapt. It's learning to work with the quantum fluctuations instead of suppressing them. Sarah was already adding new calculations to her ever-growing wall of equations. If we can scale up the mechanical damping system proportionally, we might be able to use the quantum storms along the racecourse as an energy source. Maya looked at her team, each of them brilliant in their own way, each rejected by the establishment for daring to think differently. In 2 months, they would show the galaxy what humanity's primitive technology could really do. And maybe, just maybe, prove that perfection isn't always the path to progress. The starting line for the light years trial stretched across the dark side of Earth's moon. 20 ships hovering in formation like jewels against the void. 19 of them shared the same basic design philosophy. Pure quantum drives gleaming with perfect energy fields. Then there was the Earth ship Prometheus, its hybrid systems pulsing with an irregular rhythm that made the other racers keep their distance. In the pilot's seat, Marcus adjusted his controls, feeling the unique feedback of their hybrid drive through the haptic interface Kai had designed. Final systems check, he called out. How are we looking? Quantum field is stable. Well, stable for us, Sarah reported from the physics station, watching energy patterns that would have given traditional quantum engineers nightmares. Ready to initiate on your mark. Maya monitored the hybrid systems from her engineering station, watching the interplay between quantum fields and mechanical components. Mechanical dampers are responsive. Kai, how's our eye doing? Processing quantum topology faster than expected, Kai replied, his hands dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. The learning algorithms are already adapting to local spacetime conditions. A crystalline voice echoed through all ships' communication systems. Racers, prepare for quantum acceleration. Course 1 begins in 3, 2, 1. The starting signal pulsed across space, and 20 ships launched forward into the first quantum corridor. The race had begun. Immediately, the Prometheus's unique nature proved both blessing and curse. While other ships maintained perfect quantum fields, slicing through spacetime like arrows, the Earth ship seemed to wobble and surge, its hybrid drive creating patterns that made the Alliance observers' instruments flash with warning signals. First obstacle approaching, Kai announced. Quantum reef dead ahead. The obstacle appeared as a maze of crystallized spacetime, deadly to both conventional and quantum drives. The other ships began complex navigation protocols, their quantum fields precisely calibrated to slip through the narrow, safe passages. Marcus grinned. Time to show them how Earth does it. Maya, give me full mechanical control. Switching to manual, Maya confirmed, her hands flying across the controls. Quantum field is yours to shape. Instead of trying to find a safe path through the quantum reef, Marcus did something that made the Alliance observers' crystalline forms flicker with shock. He aimed straight for the densest part of the obstruction. Sarah, give me a quantum pulse on my mark, Marcus called out. Kai, divert AI processing to mechanical compensation. The Prometheus accelerated toward what looked like certain destruction. At the last possible moment, Marcus called, now. Sarah triggered a quantum pulse just as Marcus engaged the mechanical systems. The ship's quantum field collapsed for a microsecond, while its mechanical systems took the strain. The maneuver sent them through a space too small for quantum fields to survive, but perfect for an old-fashioned mechanical hull reinforced with hybrid technology. They emerged on the other side of the reef before any other ship had navigated halfway through the safe passages. The Alliance communication channels erupted with protests. Impossible, one alien commander declared. They completely dropped their quantum field. No rules against it, Marcus replied cheerfully. Sometimes the best way through is the way that shouldn't work. But their lead came with a cost. As they entered the second stage of the race, Warning lights flashed across Maya's engineering console. That maneuver strained the mechanical systems more than we anticipated. We've got microfractures forming in the quantum mechanical interface. Can we hold it together? Marcus asked, already adjusting their course for the next challenge, a series of quantum storms that had already forced 2 ships to withdraw. Maya's hands moved with practiced precision, adjusting the balance between quantum and mechanical systems. We'll have to modify the integration protocols on the fly. Kai, I need your eye to learn these stress patterns fast. Already on it, Kai replied. The AI is treating the fractures like jazz improvisation. Instead of trying to maintain perfect harmony, it's working with the discordant patterns. Sarah suddenly straightened in her seat. These storms, they're not random. There's a pattern to the quantum fluctuations, but it's not one you'd see if you were looking for perfection. The realization hit Maya like a thunderbolt, just like Earth's quantum field. Marcus, don't try to avoid the storms. Aim for the edges. We'll use their energy to boost our hybrid drive. As the Prometheus approached the quantum storms, other ships were taking defensive positions, their perfect quantum field struggling against the chaotic energy. Marcus piloted their ship into a complex dance, skimming the edge of one storm, then another, each pass causing their hybrid drive to pulse stronger. It's working, Sarah exclaimed. The quantum storms are actually reinforcing our field structure. The imperfections in our system are resonating with the natural quantum chaos. Ships with pure quantum drives began falling behind, their perfect systems unable to cope with the storm's chaos. But the Prometheus surged ahead, its hybrid technology turning the hostile environment into an advantage. Final stretch coming up, Kai announced. But we've got company. 2 alien ships had managed to stay close. Their quantum drives pushed their technological limits. The finish line was visible ahead, a quantum aperture that would take them through the heart of a stellar nursery. Maya watched her engineering displays with growing concern. Their hybrid system was performing beyond all expectations, but the strain was beginning to show. Microfractures were spreading through the quantum mechanical interface. We can't take much more of this, she warned. The integration field is becoming unstable. Marcus's hands were steady on the controls. We don't need much more. Earth engineers built this ship. It just needs to hold together for a few more minutes. The Prometheus raced toward the finish line, its hybrid drive pulsing with an intensity that made space itself seem to shudder. Behind them, the alien ships pushed their quantum drives to peak performance, perfect energy fields training to close the gap. The final challenge lay directly ahead, a quantum singularity that would test their ship to its absolute limits. And Maya realized they had one chance to prove that humanity's primitive technology could change the galaxy forever. The quantum singularity loomed ahead of the Prometheus like a tear in the fabric of reality itself. Through their viewports, the crew could see the other ships spreading out, preparing to navigate around the anomaly using standard quantum protocols. But Maya knew their hybrid drive couldn't handle another extended burn. The quantum mechanical interface was already stretched to its limits. Status report, Marcus called out, his hand steady on the controls despite the growing vibrations shuddering through the ship. Multiple fractures in the quantum field, Sarah reported, her screen showing cascading patterns of breakdown. Conventional theory says we should have lost containment 10 minutes ago. Good thing we don't follow conventional theory, Maya replied, making rapid adjustments to the hybrid systems. Kai, what's the AI saying about the singularity? Kai's fingers flew across his interfaces, interpreting the flood of data. It's detecting something unusual. The quantum disruption isn't just chaos. It's like a current, a flow of space-time itself. Maya's eyes widened as she looked at her own readings. The mechanical sensors were picking up patterns that the quantum instruments couldn't see. It's like a river, she whispered. And we've been teaching our ship to surf. Marcus caught her meaning immediately. You want to ride the singularity. Even the Alliance ships don't try that. They can't, Sarah interjected, excitement building in her voice. Their perfect quantum fields can't adapt to the singularity's chaos. But our hybrid system can turn chaos into momentum, Maya finished. She looked at her team. It's crazy, but we passed crazy 6 months ago, Marcus grinned, when we decided to build a quantum drive in a repair shop. Kai, can you get the eye ready? Already done. It's scared, but in an excited way, like a kid about to try something their parents said was impossible. Maya took a deep breath. All right. Sarah, prepare to invert the quantum field on my mark. Marcus, when I give the signal, take us straight in. The Alliance observation ships erupted with warnings as they detected the Prometheus's change in course. Earth vessel, you are deviating from safe trajectory. Your approach vector will result in certain destruction. That's what they said about flying the first time, Marcus replied, disabling the comm system. Ready when you are, Maya. Maya's hands moved across her controls, feeling the ship's rhythms through the haptic feedback. This was what humanity did best, not achieving perfection, but working with imperfection to create something new. Quantum field inversion in 3, 2, 1. Mark. The Prometheus's hybrid drive pulsed, its quantum field turning inside out just as they hit the singularity's edge. For a moment, everything seemed to stop. Maya could see the stress patterns crawling through their hull, the mechanical systems groaning as they compensated for forces that shouldn't be survivable. Then something remarkable happened. The quantum current that K's AI had detected caught their inverted field like a solar wind catching a sail. The Prometheus didn't fight the singularity's chaos. It became part of it, using the mechanical systems to ride the quantum fluctuations like a surfer riding a wave. It's working, Sarah shouted over the ship's groaning. We're actually drawing power from the singularity. Through their viewports, they could see the other ships still struggling to navigate around the anomaly. But the Prometheus shot through it like a stone from a sling, emerging on the other side with their hybrid drive pulsing stronger than ever. The finish line beckoned, a quantum gateway that would mark the end of the trial. Behind them, the alien ships were still dealing with the singularity's effects. The Prometheus crossed the finish line alone, its hybrid systems humming with power drawn from what should have been certain death. As reality stabilized around them, the Alliance observation fleet approached. The crystalline beings aboard seemed to be having trouble processing what they had just witnessed. This is impossible, the chief observer declared. Our sensors must be malfunctioning. You cannot simply ride a quantum singularity. Impossible is just a word that means no one's been creative enough yet, Maya replied, running her hand along her control panel. She could feel the ship's hybrid drive pulsing beneath her fingers, quantum energy and mechanical engineering working together in ways the galaxy had never seen. The Alliance Council convened an emergency session right there in space. Their declaration, when it came, changed more than just the race's outcome. The Earth vessel Prometheus has not only won the light years trial but has demonstrated a completely new approach to quantum engineering. Their hybrid technology represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of space-time manipulation. Maya looked at her team. The pilot who flew by instinct, the physicist who embraced chaos, the AI specialist who taught machines to improvise, and herself, the mechanic who never forgot that sometimes the old ways and the new ways are better together. What happens now? Marcus asked, looking out at the gathering of alien ships. Maya smiled, thinking of her grandmother's old repair shop where it all began. Now we show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't copying what others have done. It's finding new ways to do what everyone else thinks is impossible. The Prometheus's hybrid drive pulsed one more time, its light mixing quantum perfection with human ingenuity. A beacon for a future where technology didn't have to be perfect to be revolutionary. It just had to work in ways no one had imagined before. And that was something humanity had been doing since the first cave-dweller looked at a rock and saw a tool, since the first dreamer looked at the stars and saw a destination. They had won more than a race. They had proven that progress doesn't always mean leaving the old ways behind. Sometimes it means building bridges between what was and what could be. As Earth's celebrations began broadcasting across their communication systems, Maya knew this was just the beginning. Humanity was ready to join the galactic community, not as imitators of advanced technology, but as innovators who could see possibilities where others saw only problems. The age of hybrid technology had begun, and with it, a new chapter in the story of human ingenuity.